What up, bros? Welcome back to Throwing Hands. It's me, it's Toby. It's International Fight Week, UFC 290. And bro, we got some bangers. What's your just overall thoughts of the card?
Oh, this is definitely one of the better cards in a while. I mean, you've got exciting matchups top to bottom, like Jalen Turner and Dan Hooker, Robbie Lawler and Nico Price, Robert Whitaker versus Duplessis, and then obviously the two title fights that we have to cap it all off. So it's incredible.
Yeah, it's great. So we're just gonna hop right into it. Let me share the screen real quick. And I mean, top to bottom, this card is just another level. So the first fight I'd like to talk about personally is Cameron Simon versus Terrence Mitchell. Terrence Mitchell's a new guy. I think he's making his debut, but he's pretty experienced. Um, but Simon, I mean, I think he's 23,
Yeah, he's
and
young, definitely
I
young.
mean, the dude can fight, man. Although he does get away with some eye pokes here and there from what I've seen in his last fights, a couple nut shots, but there's no doubt he's skilled in my opinion, and I think this is a pretty good test for him against a guy who's twice as experienced as he is.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, he does get away with some eye pokes here and there, but he's pretty well rounded. I mean, he's a really good striker. He can hit you from a lot of different angles, and he's undefeated. He's young. I mean, exciting prospect. And I think, yeah, this is going to be a good test, and we're going to see how good is he.
Yeah. So sorry, I'm adjusting my AirPods real quick. This is frustrating. All right, cool. We're good to go. Anyway, so light heavyweight bout, Marcin Prachnio, Vitor Petrino. I think someone's getting put out. I think in this one, and I think it might be Prachnio. Petrino's really good.
Yeah. Yeah, both these guys have pretty devastating knockout power, but especially Petrino. I mean, like you said, I mean, he is a really powerful guy. Um, I would probably favor him as well in this matchup, honestly. This should be a fun one.
Yeah, bangers up and down on this card. I am really excited for Tatsuo Taira. I think this guy, I think he's only 23 as well, and hopefully he can inject some fire into this flyweight division. I think this is a 130 catch weight. So yeah, this
Yeah.
is this is awesome.
Do you know why they're doing it at the catchweight or?
I think Shirez is a late replacement.
Yeah, there's actually quite a few late replacements on this card. But yeah, Tatsuro Taira, I mean, he's a fantastic prospect. All of his fights in the UFC so far, he's shown really good grappling skills, super pressure heavy. Like he's pretty heavy on top. He's got good subs. He's got decent striking, you know. Um, he mainly just uses it as more of like a means to get to the takedowns and get those submissions. But he's been impressive thus far in the UFC. So I'm looking forward to this one.
Yeah, like if he's got a swing and bang, he can. He's very capable of it. I think Taira wins this one pretty handily. I say submission in the second round.
Yeah, I think he'll probably get a sub, definitely a finish in this fight. Yeah, I think he takes it.
All right, so to the prelims on ABC, Jimmy Crute versus Alonzo Menafield. I'm pretty sure they fought back at 284 on the Volkanovski Makhachev card, and it was a banger of a fight. I think Jimmy Crute, he was coming off an ACL tear, I think, and then he got that repaired. I think with this, he's gotten back in the fight game a little bit. He has some well, he does have fight experience. He got back. He knows what his body feels like after the ACL tear. I think that he's going to look really good in this fight, and I think he'll win this.
Yeah, when I looked at this matchup, I was like, I swear these guys just fought like not that long ago. And I guess they did fight on the 284 card. Yeah, I mean, that was a fun matchup. I think it ended in a draw, maybe. It was pretty back and forth. Minifield clearly has a bit of a power advantage. I think he knocked him down a few times in that fight. I mean, he's a super powerful guy. He gets a little bit reckless in his striking sometimes. And Jimmy Crute, fantastic grappler. But his striking is has improved in recent years, and I would agree. I think that this is going to be a pretty close fight again, but I would probably favor Jimmy Crute as well.
Indeed. Ooh. Uh, I'm not going to talk about this one against Yagui versus Gomes, but I don't know. This is Yagui is really good. I think she's a solid prospect in the division. But I don't know. This is an interesting fight. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think this should be a fun matchup, honestly. From the fights that I've seen of Denise Gomes, she's exciting. Every time she goes out there, even if it's a decision, she puts a lot of pressure on her opponent. She's got good striking, good grappling. Her last fight against Bruna Brazil, I thought Bruna Brazil was going to win that for sure, and she proved me wrong, and she looked really good in that one. She even looked, not terrible against Luma. Looked on me, she just got taken down a lot. But yeah, Yargui, I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, but she's also a really good prospect. Very talented. I think this is going to be a banger. I think it's going to be a fun matchup.
Yeah. I don't know who's gonna win this. I think Yargui. Sorry if we are destroying your name, but
Yeah,
I think she'll win this fight.
yeah, yeah. It's hard to say. I think this one is a bit of a coin flip, but I would slightly favor Yasmin. Yasmin Yargui.
Yeah,
I
very
really
good
hope I'm
fight.
saying that right. Yeah.
Yeah, I know we're butchering it. All right, there's not much to talk about here. Jack Della Maddalena versus Josiah Harrell. Um, you and I talked about this on the last podcast. This dude that they're bringing in to fight JDM is 5'7", usually fights at 155. I fear for his life. I really do. This is going to be an absolutely brutal matchup, and I don't even know why JDM accepted the fight. Maybe he needs the money. However, dude, look, if he loses this, I'm going to be very sad. But I
Yeah,
don't see that happening. What they don't even do they even have the odds posted? I don't even see the odds posted. It's going to be brutal, man. I think
yeah.
Jack Della Maddalena wins in the first round by whatever the hell he wants.
Yeah, I mean, after seeing what he's done to really high level opponents like Randy Brown, who is a 6'3" welterweight, and as you just mentioned, this guy who stepped in on short notice is 5'7" and a lightweight. So after seeing what JDM has done to previous opponents, I mean, I just don't see any way that Josiah Harrell has a chance in this fight. And I respect him for taking this fight on short notice, and
Absolutely.
I respect what he's done in other promotions, and he's obviously a talented guy, but this is just not a good matchup for him whatsoever. Like you said, I think JDM does whatever he wants to this guy. I'm not sure. Maybe no one else wanted to step up on short notice. The UFC just needed to find someone, and this guy was willing to step in. But this is just a terrible matchup. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't further JDM's career in any way because if he wins this fight, it's like, yeah, obviously he was expected to win this fight. I just don't see any chance of him losing. I mean, if there were odds in this fight, I would imagine it would be like the Bo Nickel where it's like minus 2,500 or something.
Yeah. So yeah, Della Maddalena by whatever he chooses. um, all right.
Sadly for Josiah.
All right. Bobby Knuckles is fighting for the no, Robbie Lawler, ruthless Robbie Lawler is fighting for the last time against Nico Price. It's kind of a brutal matchup, man. For the last fight, Nico Price is a dog. I love Robbie Lawler. I wish they kind of fed him a can to get him one last one because Nico Price is not a can by any means.
I know.
But shout Robbie Lawler, man, legend, one of the best welterweights to ever do it. Long career, and he competed for the Strikeforce middleweight title. I mean, this guy, he's kind of a pioneer in the sport, man, especially when it comes to modern MMA. So, hopefully, I want him to get the win so badly here.
Yeah, so do I, man. I mean, there are not enough good things that I can say about Robbie Lawler. Like, truthfully, just one of the most entertaining, one of the most humble and just incredible fighters and people that we've ever seen in the UFC. Like you mentioned, he really is a pioneer. He's been in the UFC since I believe 2002, early 2000s, definitely. And that's back when he was training with like Pat Miletich and Matt Hughes out of Tim Sylvia out of that Miletich fighting systems. So he's just been doing this for a long time. He had a brief really, well, actually not that brief. It was like several years in the middle of his career where he was losing some fights. He was in Strike Force, but then he had this resurgence where he went to American Top Team, came back, and I maintain that Robbie Lawler had the greatest four-fight stretch of pretty much anybody, which was the Matt Brown, Johnny Hendricks, Rory McDonald, Carlos Condit, those four straight fights. You will never see a guy in wars like that back to back to back to back to back.
No,
And there's just nobody like him. I mean, what an incredible career. And yeah, I mean, this is a tough matchup though, because Nico Price is a very unorthodox striker. He can hurt you in a variety of different ways. And even if Robbie is able to get on top, we've seen Nico finish people with hammer fist from the bottom. We've seen him finish people with up kicks from the bottom. So it's dangerous wherever he goes. And he's got submissions as well. So this is just a tough matchup. And if there's one thing we know about Nico Price is that he is a dog. As you said, he is going to keep fighting no matter what. And Robbie just, I don't think is going to be able to put him away. I don't think he has the power or the stamina that he once did to be able to put Nico away. So I just see this as kind of, it's probably going to be a back and forth brawl, but I think Nico is probably going to outlast him in this one.
Yeah, sadly, I think so too. Oh, that hurts me to say, but
I
hey,
know.
Robbie's ruthless for a reason. So,
Yeah, we might see one last hurrah. I really hope we do. Maybe he'll get a finish or just win like a really fun decision. But yeah, I really just want Robbie to go out on a high note here because what he has given to the UFC, almost no one has put in as much as this guy has.
I mean, the dude's probably given pints of blood to the UFC, and that's not even like
Yeah, legitimately.
crazy. All right, to the main card. All right, the Bo Nickel versus Val Woodburn. They don't even have Val's stuff up yet. But so Val Woodburn is like 5'7". I'm pretty sure. I might be an inch off. I'm sorry, Val, but
He's not a big guy.
he's not a big guy. And this dude likes to swang and bang from all the highlights I've seen. He will put your lights out. However, his punches are very looping, and if he overthrows on Bo Nickel, he's going to sleep on the floor, I think. Um, it's a dangerous matchup because if Bo gets caught, it's not gonna be just a shave off the chin like a Sean Strickland punch might be. Shout out Sean Strickland, great performance last week, but yeah, I don't know. This is a terrible matchup for Val Woodburn. I think Bo Nickel finishes this in the first round because if he overswings just once, Bo Nickel's just going to shoot a double.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, that's the risk that you always have to think about when you're facing such an elite wrestler. And you cannot overstate how elite of a wrestler Bo Nickel is. And people can say, like, I know Woodburn is like, well, I have good wrestling too, and I'm not really worried about it. You can say that. But once you get in there, when you're facing that high level of a wrestler, that's all that you're thinking about. You're thinking about overswinging and getting taken down. That's what we saw when Connor faced Habib, and he was thinking so much about the takedown that Habib was able to knock him down with that right hand because he was just focusing on sprawling and bringing his hands down to shuck him off. So I think it's going to be a similar story in this fight where Woodburn is so preoccupied with thinking about the takedown that we could see Bo Nickel probably hurt him on the feet as well. And yeah, it is dangerous. I mean, Woodburn swings wild. If he connects with something, this is a middleweight fight. These guys are powerful. He's a big guy. So he could hurt Bo Nickel. But if, like you mentioned, if he misses even one shot, it'll be zero point 0.1 seconds and Bo Nickel is on his hips and then he's on his back, you know. So
Yeah, Val Woodburn's gonna have to pull out some very fundamental ones and twos this matchup if he wants any chance. And that's honestly, he can't step off his back foot. He can't, yeah, he can't do any of that. So
yeah.
I think Bo Nickel does whatever he wants to him on the ground. I think he subs him within like 3 minutes, honestly.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be a pretty quick fight. I mean, if I were Woodburn, no kicks whatsoever, completely
Yeah.
avoid kicks. I don't know if he really throws kicks much anyway, but completely avoid that. Do, maybe knees if you want to, but mainly just uppercuts, rip body shots, and one twos, and just keep it basic. Don't overswing, keep it simple, man.
Yeah, like if he steps in and out of range really quickly, I could see him having some success in this fight. But yeah, it's Bo Nickel, man. If he gets his hands on you, you're going to the ground.
Yeah. Yep.
All right, this fight I am excited for. Jalen Turner versus Dan Hooker. Dan Hooker bleached his hair. I don't know why.
Yeah. It's an
But
interesting look.
it's a very interesting look. He also got tattoos on his back and has like shin pads tattooed. I know those shin tattoos hurt bad, probably.
Oh yeah,
But
I can imagine.
Jalen Turner, 6'3", Dan Hooker 6 foot. Dan Hooker looks taller than 6 feet to me. I swear he's 6'1", 6'2", honestly. But um, this is probably Jalen Turner's longest matchup in this division he's probably ever had. Um, Dan Hooker hasn't been the same since that war with Dustin Poirier. Um, in the Apex, best Apex fight by far. Do you agree with me on that? That has to be the best Apex fight.
Oh, 100%. I just watched that fight back recently. I mean, that might be one of the best fights, period. Like
Yes,
top 10 fights ever.
um,
If
um,
it had a crowd, oh my gosh.
amazing fight. Like outside of Rory McDonald after Robbie Lawler, that Dan Hooker might have been the closest to anybody perishing after a fight, and I don't think Dan Hooker would disagree with me on that either. But
Oh, it's brutal. And
it
he
was
was so close at the end of the second round when he was teeing off on Poirier, landing those hooks and then that knee. I thought he was going to finish him right there. If he had like 5 more seconds, he probably
yes,
would have.
absolutely he would have. And man, he if he like we said, if he finished him, he'd probably be in title contention. Like,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
but no one somehow Dustin Poirier got better after that fight, but
So
I don't
yeah,
know how
somehow.
I don't know how anyone's the same after something like that. But Jalen Turner in his last fight lost to Mateusz Gamrot. People are saying Jalen Turner won. I don't know how anybody saw that. Um, Mateusz Gamrot won that fight, guys. I don't care what you say. But this is a fun matchup. I if this was Dan Hooker 3-4 years ago, all right, I think he's winning this fight handily. But I don't know, man. Jalen Turner's really good.
Yeah, in his last fight, I agree. I definitely don't think he won that fight, but I do think he looked good. He knocked down Gamrot, and there were
Agree.
moments that he had that were pretty good. I think he took like one round, but I don't see him taking two of them. He just got taken down and controlled for too long in that fight. But what's really impressed me about Jalen Turner as of late is that he's just been finishing everybody and mostly like first and second round finishes too. I mean, he is submitting people, he's TKOing people, and we're talking about actual good fighters like Jamie Malarkey, Brad Riddell, who's a teammate of Dan Hooker. So I've been high on Jalen Turner for a while. I think that this is a great matchup for him. I mean, just the fact that he's a 6'3" lightweight and that he doesn't even look that drained when he cuts weight is incredible. And he still retains like a good bit of muscle mass. So he has like the perfect body type for this weight class. He can grapple, he can strike very well. He's going to control distance in this fight. He's going to land, I think, a lot of kicks to the body. And we've seen Dan Hooker, his fight with Edson Barboza, you get those rangy kickers that start targeting to the body, and he's had some trouble with that. I mean, Barboza just absolutely punished his body. If anybody hasn't seen that fight, if you want to see a really brutal, brutal fight, go watch Edson Barboza and Dan Hooker. I mean, that is truly like the accumulation of damage just got to him, and he wilted under that. And I mean, he's just been through so many of those fights. You look back, he's fought Yair, he's fought Poirier,
Paul Felder.
Paul Feld. I mean, all these guys, these wars that he's been through, it's going to take a toll on you at some point. And I think it's Turner's time to move up into that upper echelon of the division, even though he already is ranked higher than Dan Hooker. The name value alone will catapult him a bit further. I think this is definitely a Jalen Turner spot, and I think he's going to get a finish in this fight. Whether it could be a sub, it could be a TKO. I think he's going to get it done.
Here's my thing. I think Dan Hooker might be one of the best guys off his back when it comes to his grappling. Like he will throw up a triangle out of nowhere. I think he has 2 or 3 triangle finishes in the UFC. Um, so I'd be if Jalen Turner was to bring him to the ground, I think Dan Hooker would be very wary. This is tough for me because Dan Hooker looked good in his last fight against Poyes, but that was a joke on Poyes's part. I don't know what he was doing, but Dan Hooker decided he was done with the shenanigans and the tomfoolery. But I think Dan Hooker wins this by decision. I hope he wins it by decision, but I get the odds favoring Jalen Turner. I totally get it. So
Yeah, I just think he did look good in that last matchup, Dan Hooker, but Puelles, I mean, he had nothing to offer on the feet. And Jalen Turner is such a polished striker and so long. I think that's a huge difference too, is that if Turner does take him down and Hooker starts throwing submissions off his back, I think Turner's just so long that he'll be able to avoid a lot of them.
yeah, so fun fight. This will be a banger. Um, it's so Bobby. Oh, dang it! I'm not
Not
giving you
not
any
this guy.
spotlight. Not that guy. Uh, Bobby Knuckles versus Dracus Duplessis. Uh, Robert Whitaker, let's go over who this guy is. He's only lost to Adesanya in the middleweight division. He's never lost to anybody else but Adesanya. So, undefeated at middleweight outside of Adesanya. This dude Duplessis, man, quite possibly the worst top five guy to ever enter the top five in UFC history. He claims no surgery is going to completely fix his cardio problems. Will it help? Yes, I know from experience. I've had multiple no surgeries. However, it will not. This it won't increase your skill. It won't it won't make you a better fighter in general. I don't think. And I mean, here's my thing: if you're gassing that much after the first round, that's a you problem. But Justin Gaethje's nose was just absolutely destroyed before he got surgery. He didn't have too many problems with 5 round cardio. However, Bobby Knuckles, I think he might decimate this dude over the course of 3 rounds, or he'll just get it finished in the second round. I think Bobby Knuckles is uh, infinitely more skilled than Dracus Duplessis. And Duplessis is just a sham at this point. I don't. If he beats Robert Whitaker, I will take all of it back. But this is ridiculous. I think Robert Whitaker wins this handily.
Yeah, man. Like before we started this, I said it's Robert Whitaker fight week. I know we've got two title fights on this card, but it's all about Bobby Knuckles. I mean, this guy, you look at his record, the people that he has faced, the finishes that he has, and even the decision wins that he has. I mean, he's beaten Romero multiple times. He beat Jacare, finished Jacare, beat Kelvin Gastelum, Cannonier. Just the level of competition that Robert Whitaker has is unparalleled in the middleweight division and is especially unparalleled compared to Dricus du Plessis. And then just skill for skill. I mean, pound for pound, Robert Whitaker might be one of the 3 or 5 most skilled fighters in the whole UFC. He is
Yeah.
so well rounded. No matter where the fight goes, he is dangerous. And you made a good point about, he's been in so many 5 round fights. Robert Whitaker, this is a 3 round fight. And we saw in his last 3 round fight against Vettori, he was able to put more pressure on him and be a bit more active than we have seen him been because he knew that this was a 3 rounder and he knew that he could do that. So I think Whitaker's going to come in here and try to prove a point because he knows that if he just wins a decision and it's it looks okay, he's not getting a title shot off that. But if he comes in here and destroys Duplessis and leaves no doubt as to who the #1 contender is in the middleweight division, the next challenger for Adesanya, I think Whitaker could have a good case for a title shot, even though he did just fight Izzy at 271 or 272. So I think this is a great matchup for Whitaker. His 1-2 to the high kick is better than anybody's that we've seen, maybe ever. I
One of the
mean,
best combinations in all of MMA.
yeah, seriously, one of the best combinations we've ever seen. He executes his strikes so perfectly. He knows how to jump in and out of range so well. He knows when to mix the takedowns in. I mean, this guy is just like, he's an incredible fighter. I love watching him fight, and I think he gets it done any way he wants.
Same. Dracus still was a good run, man.
Yeah.
I really hope I won't be eating my words, but alrighty. Brandon Moreno versus Alexandre Pantoja for the UFC men's flyweight belt. Um, Brandon Moreno is really good, but Pantoja's beat him twice. Once on Ultimate Fighter, and in the rematch they had, it was a beat down. But Brandon Moreno is a completely different fighter. I I really think this is a fight that really favors Pantoja. Um, I think Brandon Moreno is great. I love the guy. But I don't know. I think this is Pantoja's fight to lose. I think Pantoja's incredible.
Yeah, no, I mean, it definitely, I'm sure, takes a mental toll on Moreno, knowing that Pantoja has beaten him not once but twice and finished him one of those times. Although that was on the Ultimate Fighter, so technically it's not on his professional record. But still, it's got to sit in the back of his mind knowing that this guy has beaten him twice. And Pantoja, man, I mean, his striking is reckless. He's very aggressive. Like he's going to pressure forward, come in with big shots, but it can be effective at times. And the thing you've got to watch out for with Pantoja, it's like with Aljo. I mean, if he gets your back, he's not going to get off. Like he is a specialist at taking your back and choking you out. But then again, I mean, Brandon Moreno, he's one of those guys. You rarely see this level of skill improvement from fighters, but Moreno in these past like 7 or 8 years, his skill has just improved so dramatically from when he was losing to Sergio Pettis, losing to Pantoja. He has just continuously leveled up each fight, and he's so well rounded at this point. He makes great adjustments mid-fight, like in the Kai Kara France fight when he started throwing that lead body kick off, like ending all of his combinations with that lead body kick. Just a perfect adjustment. His latest fight against Figueiredo, I mean, he's finishing guys now. His last two fights have both been for the title, and he's finished them both. And so I think this is a really tough matchup. I mean, I think this could be fight of the night for sure. This one's going to be super fun. I think it's going to bring a lot of much needed hype to the flyweight division. It's a good storyline, but yeah, I mean, it's super dangerous, man. Pantoja, he's been on a tear himself. He finished his last two opponents as well, and he's just looked like a beast, man. He's looked dominant. So this is a really, really tough matchup to pick. I don't know. I don't know. I'd ever so slightly favor Moreno, but it's hard to say.
I mean, subbing Royval Perez, but beat Manel Cop by a decision. He did lose to Askarov. No shame in that.
Yeah, close
Um,
fight too.
uh, yeah, just I don't. There's not many. And what's interesting is that Moreno's favored. That's a little odd, I think.
Yeah.
But has Pantoja ever had a main event? Maybe that's why.
Yeah, I don't know actually. I don't think so.
It's a good question. But I don't think he has. So I think, oh, great fight. But the main event is what I'm looking forward to. Hell yeah. Alexander the Great Volkanovski versus Yair Rodriguez. Man, this is Volk's toughest matchup by far. I don't even think it's close. Um, but Volk, Mahachev, Mahachev, man. I don't know. This is a really tough matchup for Volkanovski, and but I do think if he stays in range with Yair and doesn't let Yair get into kicking distance, I think Volkanovski can turn this into a clinic. But if he doesn't do that, Yair's just going to piece him up from the outside and win this by a decision. This is a fun fight, though.
Yeah, this is definitely one of his toughest matchups. I mean, you look at his previous fights, right? Like obviously Islam is one of the best fighters ever. That's an incredibly tough matchup. But the way Volkanovski is built just physically, he is built to defend takedowns. He's built to sprawl and to shut people off. And I think that, yeah, styles make fights, right? And a lot of his previous opponents, like Holloway, like Korean Zombie, they're pressure fighters. But that doesn't matter to Volkanovski because his fighting on the inside is so good, and he's able to, use head movement, use the stance switches so well. He's able to deal with that pressure, and he has basically infinite cardio, right? And then with Brian Ortega, again, kind of a pressure guy, a grappler. We've never seen him fight someone, at least not recently, like Yair Rodriguez, who is at such a high level in his striking where he's bouncing in and out constantly. He, by the way, also has great cardio. You saw in the Max Holloway fight, that was a war where both guys were throwing a lot of strikes every round, and he was not getting tired in that fight until maybe the very, very end. But even then, he was still throwing. So I think this is a super dangerous matchup for Volk. I think that Yair, like you mentioned, is probably it going to pick him apart from the outside. I mean, obviously, he's multiple inches taller than him. He's so dynamic in his striking. He can land from almost anywhere. Even if Volk takes him down, Yair is going to be kicking off his back, throwing up submissions off his back. It does not matter where the fight goes. Yair is going to find a way to throw and land strikes. So I think Volkanovski absolutely must get on the inside. He must mix up the takedowns. But even then, there's the danger there. So yeah, this is a really tough matchup for him.
Yeah, if Volk wants to take Yair down, he's gonna have to go to side control or mount him or north south or something because Yair off his back is insane with his triangles. I mean, he didn't technically sub Brian Ortega, but he got him out of there off his back. And then he did triangle choke Josh Emmett in their interim title fight.
Yeah,
All
and
right.
I know people will mention too, like, well, but look at the Frankie Edgar fight, right? Yeah, that was 5, 6 years ago when Frankie Edgar took down Yair and beat him up off his back. Yair does not do that anymore. He doesn't just stay on his back and take damage and try to shell up. He's so much more active off his back now. And so I know people will say like, yeah, well, Frankie beat him up. Yeah, that was a completely different fighter back then. So it's not going to be as simple for Volk as just taking him down and beating him up like he was able to do against Ortega, for example.
Yeah, this is an interesting fight, man. Predictions. I think Volk grinds out it. Call me crazy, but watch Volk get a submission in this one. Just watch it. It's my gut feeling.
Dude, you never know. I mean, he's been training with Craig Jones, I know, for his past couple fights. Yeah, I think Volk gets this one done as well. I don't know if he's going to get a finish in this fight because Yair is super tough, always dangerous, good cardio. So I think it's going to be tough to get a finish, but I think he's going to be able to get on the inside. I think he's going to land nice elbows inside. I think he's going to work the body well. Hopefully he can land, he has like surprisingly long legs, like weirdly long legs. So I think he'll probably be able to land some good leg kicks as well, maybe slow down a bit of the movement of Yair. And if he mixes in the takedowns effectively, I think that'll just, be the key to the piece to the puzzle that he's missing. So I think that Volk gets it done. I don't know if it's going to be a finish, but we'll see.
See, we shall. Alrighty. So, um, some interesting news coming out lately. Figueiredo versus Dominic Cruz is in the works for a September event. Do you see
What?
that?
No.
Yeah. I fear for Dominic Cruz.
Yeah, that's a scary matchup, man.
Just based off the power, man, because Cruz has been getting chinned in every one of his last fights. It seems like he gets knocked to the ground.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, that's a brutal.
Dude, even in the fights that he wins, like he got dropped so bad by Pedro Munoz in his fight. You know, yeah, I fear for Dom in a matchup like that. Figueredo, he cut so much weight to get to 125. So for him to be at 135, be at a more natural weight class, I mean, I think he's gonna have so much power.
Yeah, you make a good point there. Like just the power that he possessed at 125 after gross weight cuts, and then he's coming up. I don't know, man. That's gonna be tough. Um, what else has been going on? It's been pretty tame. Oh, right, Hall of Fame inductees.
Yeah.
Jose Aldo, Robbie Lawler for Lawler versus McDonald. I'm sure he'll be in there as a fighter. Cowboy
100%.
Cerrone, Jens Pulver, and Anderson Silva were inducted into the Hall of Fame last night. Congrats to those gents.
Yeah, that's a fantastic list of guys. I mean, clearly they all deserve it. And I think a guy like Jens Pulver too, I think he can get a bit overshadowed by, Silva, Aldo, Cowboy. But, don't sleep Jens Pulver, man. He had a great UFC career, former lightweight champion. I think he might have been the first lightweight champion. The dude was incredible. He put on wars every time out there. So shout out Jens Pulver. And he does the UFC Twitch channel. So
Oh yes, he does. Um, GSP's coming back for grappling in December. I'm excited for that. I can't wait to watch that.
yeah, I didn't realize that. But I see that video of GSP where he's like, I'm coming back. Oh, psych. But he actually is coming back. I guess just not in MMA, but at least grappling. So we'll get to see that.
Yeah. Um,
Oh, I saw that John and Izzy saw each other. I'm not sure where, but they had like a little encounter.
oh yeah, they had dinner together, I think.
That's nice.
Yeah, so the beef is squashed, and I wouldn't want beef with John Jones either. So
Well, clearly what it is that John realizes that Izzy would decimate him. No, I'm just kidding. I think it's like a father-son type thing where John's like, yeah, you know that I would destroy you in a fight. So let's just be friends, man.
I saw this video the other day of John Jones. He met Sergey Spivak,
Yeah.
and they like stared, and then Spivak, just hugged him like in like a grappling thing, and John Jones he didn't hit him obviously, but he put like a knee up
Mhm.
um like over his shoulder. It looked like, and it would have hit Spivak if it was a fight. And Spivak, when they disengaged the clinch, he was like, "Oh my gosh, like what the heck?"
Oh, that's great, man. Yeah, John is just one of those guys. Like, you gotta respect him to a certain degree because if you don't, then you just know that he would kill you. You know, I mean, literally, like he could
That's
just
a
kill
way to
you.
put it.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I didn't
Um,
see too much else,
Roush,
man.
uh, Roush Manfio, the guy who got suspended off PFL, he said something. He admits his performance was horrible, but wants PFL to end suspensions that benefit Shane Burgos. I'm like,
Yeah,
can't agree more.
yeah,
He said, we clearly had bad performances, referring to him and Schultz. We clearly had bad performances, but no one can accuse us of anything. I wish there was an official investigation because I don't know how else to prove I'm speaking the truth, but an investigation would prove it. Yeah, that's still horrible. I can't believe that PFL did that still. That's
no, it's like, yeah, I mean, they didn't put on the best of performances, but I'm not sure what the PFL expected when these guys are literally like as close of friends as you can get. You expect them to just go fight each other in this bloody war? Like, what? Come on, man.
yeah, crazy. Let's see what else there is. I mean, it's been a pretty tame week regarding news. I have not watched this week's Tough episode yet. I know what happened because everybody figured out what happened like a week ago and it all got leaked. Screw you
Yeah.
guys. Um, not cool. That was that's so terrible. And they leaked the whole episode. Well, they leaked what mattered in the episode.
Yeah.
Uh,
No, I didn't watch either. We're talking about where Connor like shoved Chandler. Is that
yeah,
what that the
yeah.
episode?
That's what
Yeah.
happened in the episode. But I need to watch the whole thing because Connor's guy was winning the whole fight
Yeah.
and then he got caught. So
Now what he's like 0 and 6
oh
so
and
far.
6. But
Oh my.
prospects and vets was like the dumbest idea they could have come up with.
Yeah.
Like what like a 30 you think a 35-year-old prospect, no disrespect to this dude, but come on, 35.
Yeah.
People don't get to the UFC at 35, man, unless you're like a heavyweight.
No, it doesn't really make much sense. Like I mean, just do prospects versus other prospects. Like why why do them against like yeah, mid-30s vets who have already been in the UFC and lost. But I don't know.
We need views. So Jake Paul wants to fight Connor in MMA or boxing next. I think Connor would destroy him in either, to be honest.
Oh yeah, there's no shot that Jake Paul would ever do anything to Connor. I mean, I guess there's like maybe a bit of a size difference, but I don't think it matters.
Keyword there, a bit.
Yeah.
um,
Oh, I saw Aljamain Sterling said in an interview that this title defense is literally against his will. I guess he did not want to fight Sean O'Malley, but I guess my question would be like who else is up there? I mean, like, yeah, obviously like there are guys at the top of the bantamweight division, but who that he hasn't fought already or is deserving of a title shot. I mean, whether people like it or not, Sean O'Malley beat the number one contender in Piotr Jan. He's the number one guy. I mean, he's the number one contender, like on
yeah,
paper at least.
he gets to fight Aljamain. Oh, but that card's awesome. What
Yeah,
like it's and also Aljamain didn't take any damage in that fight due to the fact that you can't do ground and knees. I can't stand how he takes advantage of that.
I know, man. It is terrible. I wish they would do it like one championship so that you don't have guys just sprawling forwards on their hands and knees, just like, oh, let me just sit here with my head completely exposed, but you can't actually you can't knee me or anything. You can hit me, but you cannot knee me.
Yeah, I think I was talking to my dad about it. I said, "Why should you feel safe with your head completely exposed on the ground?"
Yeah, exactly. Like, I don't know, but you go to your back or shoot on a leg. Like, you got to do something. You can't just sit there. I mean, you can under the rules. You can, though.
Yeah, I mean, that was a close fight. I thought Cejudo won, but I'll have to go back and watch it. My gut
Yeah,
tells me I'm wrong about that, but like,
it was very
uh,
close, man.
yeah. But this is, geez, we have a great, what is it? I'm blanking. We have a great run of fight cards coming up. We
Yeah.
have a little break next week with Holm versus Myra Silva. Little break next week. And then UFC London, then 291, then Sanhagen, Nurmagomedov, Luque dos Anjos, Sterling versus O'Malley. This is a fantastic streak. I can't complain. This is I mean, next week I know, okay, my home versus Myra Bueno Silva. We need a break in there. But
Yeah,
and
yeah.
fighters need to get their contracts fulfilled. So this is why they do stuff like this. Um, although Walt Harris versus Josh Priest, that could be a fun fight. Darius versus Jung Young Park, fun fight. Yes, Otman Azaitar is back. Yes, Terrence McKinney's back.
Yeah, there you
Tucker
go.
Lutz. I mean, there's actually some fun fights on this card. It's just that they get worse as you go up the card.
Yeah, yeah, it seems like it.
But man, I know Otman Zaitar got caught by what's his face, Matt Frivola, but that dude,
The steamroller.
yeah, the steamroller. Shout out the steamroller, man. He follows me on Twitter. I don't know why.
Dude, he's actually
But
pretty good.
yeah, he was a wrestler when he came in.
Yeah.
Now he likes to swang and bang. But dude, Otman Zaitar, if he connects, you are going out.
Oh yeah, he swings wild, man.
That knockout against Pakalin, oh,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah, he's pretty powerful.
yeah, he'll put your lights out. And Kama Worthy could have been a good fighter if he learned head movement. That's
Oh
really
yeah.
the dude is hella skilled. He actually check out his interview on Throwin Hands. Interesting stuff. But I yeah, man, if Kama had head movement, he'd be a great fighter, but he just doesn't move his head. He keeps it in the same place. So he shoots a double trying to get out of it when he realizes, I don't know, man. But anyway, that's really all I have. Chael Sonnen hasn't said anything crazy lately. Okay, so hear me out. There's so many Chael P-isms. I love Chael. But yeah, Toby, you got anything else, man?
No, the only thing I will say, I forgot to mention about Volk that I think is going to be the X factor in this fight and many of his other fights is that I don't think anybody game plans as well as Alexander Volkanovski
No.
for fights. That guy is meticulous. He leaves no stone unturned in preparation for his fights. He brings in the best grapplers, the best strikers. He studies so much film. I mean, just watch this guy. I think he has a YouTube channel, but whoever it is, just watch behind the scenes footage of when he's training and the things that he's talking about. He knows exactly you can obviously you can't completely replicate your style and training, but you can get very close to it and you can study as much as possible. And I know Volkanovski has done that for this fight and for all previous fights. And that's really what sets him apart from the rest of the division and the rest of the UFC, frankly.
He just knows how to bring in the right guys. Like
Yeah.
like like Craig Jones. Yes, Craig Jones is a big jiu-jitsu guy, and yes, bring him in from Mahachev, but he also has had some wrestlers come in. He trained with Malarkey, stuff like that. And then for this, he brought in some like top tier Taekwondo dude. Like, he just and shout out Joe Lopez, man. That guy's clearly a fantastic coach.
Incredible
Like
coach.
no one talks about him when it comes like you hear about the Greg Montoya's, the Greg Jones, shout out Greg Jones, man. Um,
Yeah.
Greg Jones, Hoofs, guys at Matt Brown, it's the guys at ATT. But you don't hear about Joe Lopez because it's a smaller gym, but the dude can clearly coach fighting. I mean,
Oh
look
yeah.
at Volkanovski, look at Malarkey, look at Jack Della Maddalena. Like they pump out savages over there, man.
Yeah.
And then they could just go over to Eugene Behrman if they want more.
And I
So
was I was going to mention that too. I mean, yeah, exactly. He's also been training with, Hooker and Adesanya for years with Eugene Behrman. So, and Brad Riddell. I mean, yeah, he's Volkanovski, man. His preparation is second to none.
and the goat Blood Diamond.
Blood Diamond, yes. No, he's talented, man. I wish him the best, but
Yeah,
I don't
wish him
know
the
if he has
best.
a bright future in the
I
UFC.
don't think he was ready.
He needs to really work on that takedown defense.
Say that again. But Toby, that's all I got, man. Anything else?
Yeah, really looking forward to this card this weekend. Like you said, we do have a bit of a break next week, but keep in mind how good of a card this is, and just think about that all this next week, and then maybe even rewatch it next Saturday instead of watching the Holly Holm card.
Yeah. I don't think, if you guys want us to preview the whole Myra Bueno Silver card, let us know. We will do it. However, I'm thinking of a more special episode. Uh, a little more fun. Not off the beaten path. We're not reviewing Dust like we did that one time. That was that great episode, Toby. Go back and watch that one. That was fun. But I don't know, man. We'll figure something out. But that's it for throwing hands this episode. This was 193, I think. So just meet us back here Monday for the review of this card. Peace out, y'all.
Peace.